Hi, I'm Marc with Squid Ink. In today's video, we're going to talk about the differences between our JetStream PX hard pigmented CIJ printer and a standard JetStream printer that's handling dye-based inks or soft pigmented fluids. The first thing we're going to cover is software. Very briefly, there aren't a lot of differences between the software on a PX and a standard JetStream system. One of the major differences that you're going to notice is the auto circulate mode. Now we've already covered this in a different video, which is covering proper startup and shutdown. So in general, if you want to see how we use this properly, head over to that video. But again, that's one of the main differences between this and our standard system. So when the printer is not jetting, it's going to be in auto circulate mode. So you're going to see this on the display. All the machine is doing is keeping the ink flowing internally, circulating it so it doesn't settle with that hard pigment. So again, you're going to see that on the display. If we want to exit this mode for any reason to make changes to our software, we would just hit exit auto circulate, and then we can re-enable that in our settings page. Other than that, message creation is the same, print settings are the same, all the other software features are identical. So there's really not much to learn here, again, going from a standard system to the hard pigmented system. One other thing I'll point out very briefly is in our diagnostic page, device diagnostic, we've got a video for this with standard JetStream. It's the exact same process with this unit. We just have a couple changes in hardware. We don't have a viscometer valve, so there's no valve 1. And we do have a dedicated vacuum pump instead of a Venturi. So we've got that vacuum pump in the device diagnostic that we can turn on and off for troubleshooting purposes. Other than that, again, the software is the same. Starting and stopping jetting, everything is identical. So again, very, very small learning curve from a standard JetStream to the hard pigmented. After covering the software, the next thing we're going to look at is inside the front of the machine. Now the biggest difference naturally that you're going to notice is this is not a cartridge-based system. We have two tanks, one for ink, one for makeup. If you're curious as to how to fill these, watch our video on commissioning a JetStream PX. It'll show you how to use the included funnel to fill both of these tanks. So again, that's the biggest difference up here with this machine, is going from cartridges to pour and fill tanks. The reason we've done this, especially on the ink side, is it's much easier to circulate the ink and agitate it in a pour and fill tank like this instead of a cartridge. So it makes that process better and a bit easier, okay? If you're curious how this is working, here's an example of our ink tank. And all we have in the bottom of the tank is this magnetic pillar. It looks like a gear. Underneath the tank, we've got a magnetic drive that just spins this constantly to agitate the ink inside the tank. So again, that's how it's a lot easier with a pour and fill system to just have it set up like this to constantly stir the fluids. The other two things you'll notice up front here is we don't have a mix tank that a standard JetStream would have, since we have these standalone ink and makeup tanks. Now we are mixing makeup into the ink as we would with a normal system to manage our viscosity, but we don't have the big black box over here that a standard unit would have. So instead, what we have is our vacuum pump. So this is a diaphragm pump that we're using to generate vacuum or suction in the system for our gutter and bleed and back flushing processes. So that's a difference between this machine and a standard unit. There is no Venturi. We have a dedicated pump for vacuum. Other than that, the other difference up here is we just have the buffer up front instead of in the back of the machine. So, you know, nothing earth-shattering there. We just had space, so it's up front here. If you're curious on, you know, especially the buffer, how to swap that out, that is part of the PM kit for this printer. Watch our video on performing preventative maintenance for the JetStream PX. But other than that, in the front of the machine here, that's it. Those are the major changes compared to a standard unit. Okay, in the back of the printer, we do have a few more changes here. Now, in our preventative maintenance video, we've already covered the filters and the differences in the filters. So again, make sure you watch that performing preventative maintenance on the JetStream PX for clarification on the filters, and again, that buffer in the front. After that, we'll start in the right-hand side of the machine here. We still have a makeup pump So that is the diaphragm pump in the back. These are the exact same diaphragm pumps that are in a standard JetStream. One is still managing makeup. The other does handle ink, but for a different purpose than a standard unit. So we'll talk about the makeup pump first. Again, all this does is either add makeup to our ink reservoir to manage viscosity, or it sends makeup out to the print head for clean jet on and off. So we're using the same pump as a standard JetStream. We're also using the same valves as a standard JetStream. So we have valve 4 and valve 2 being used to direct that makeup where we want it. So the nice thing here with that makeup circuit, you're dealing with the same hardware. There's nothing new there. So again, that's pretty easy to understand. So here's valve 2 and valve 4. Again, same purposes from a standard JetStream to this unit. We're either sending makeup out to the print head or to the ink reservoir. You'll notice in general, the manifold has changed a little bit. It actually has a smaller footprint. We got rid of a valve. We'll talk about that later in the video. So the stack of valves and overall appearance of this has changed a little bit, but very straightforward. Our next diaphragm pump here is actually for our viscometer. So on a standard unit, this would actually be for adding ink to a mix tank. We don't have to do that with this system since it's a pour and fill. So this diaphragm pump is actually taking ink from the ink reservoir, pulling it through the viscometer and putting it back into the ink reservoir. So that's a little bit different. The viscometer circuit is relying on a diaphragm pump in this machine, a JetStream PX, versus a standard JetStream. We were relying on our main gear pump or pressure pump to do that. So you've got, again, a diaphragm pump. That's it. We got rid of valve 1 as well for the viscometer. So you do not have a viscometer valve at all. You just have this pump. And then we've got a couple of check valves in series with this circuit. So what we're going to do here is I am going to slide out the drawer for the hydraulic assembly. Again, there's just one Phillips screw that we would remove to slide this out. The reason I'm doing that, I'll show you where the viscometer is located, and I'll show you where the other check valve is located. So when we slide out the manifold, you'll see on the back, this is where our viscometer is located. This is the same viscometer that is used in a standard JetStream as well, obviously just a different location. So this is mounted to the manifold. There are 4 long Phillips screws that just anchor this to the manifold. But again, same viscometer, same cleaning process as a standard JetStream viscometer. Everything is the same. Again, the main difference here is instead of relying on our gear pump and a valve to pass fluid through here, we have our dedicated diaphragm pump for the viscometer, again, which is right here. After talking about the viscometer circuit, we're just going to kind of look at the manifold in general next and go through, again, some of the differences or similarities. So we'll start up top here. The pressure pump is different than the pressure pump we use in a standard JetStream. This has a little more torque, if you will, to handle that hard pigmented ink. Very similar mounting fashion. We just have a yoke here and a couple of alignment pins that get the pump aligned with the manifold. Other than that, the pressure sensor and temperature sensor are identical, so nothing new to learn here. Again, the solenoid valves are the exact same style of valves, just a little bit different as far as usages for valve 6 and valve 5. So we've covered 2 and 4. Again, those are our makeup management valves. We're going to go to valve 5. Now that is still our vacuum valve. Very similar in function to a standard JetStream. We're either applying vacuum to our gutter or to our bleed/backflush circuit to the print head. But the biggest difference here is we're not using a venturi in the system. So you will not find a venturi anywhere back here. Again, we've got that dedicated vacuum pump in the front of the machine. So this is in series with that vacuum pump. From there, again, gutter or backflush circuit. After that, we've got valve 6. This is a bit different. Valve 6 is not being used for adding ink to a tank or the mix tank with like a standard JetStream. Again, this is a pour and fill unit, So this is not used for that function. What we do with valve 6 is when we switch to auto circulate mode, this valve opens and allows us to pass ink through the manifold and back to our ink tank without running it out through the umbilical to the head. So a little bit, again, different usage here. That allows us to circulate the fluid through the entire system, again, except the print head, while we're not jetting. So that's part of that auto circulate mode. When we close that valve, it then allows us to direct ink out to the print head. But again, outside of that, the different usage, this is the same valve used in a standard JetStream. So it's a 3-way valve, as is valve 5, same as a standard unit. From a troubleshooting perspective, disassembly cleaning perspective, it's exactly the same. To the right of the manifold, you're going to notice this little 3-way fitting. You'll notice there are green stripe tubing going in and out of this fitting. So that's part of our pressurized ink circuit. And all this is it kind of ties into valve 6. So it helps us direct flow, depending on the position of valve 6, either out to the print head or back to our ink tank. So again, that's part of that circuit where if we're jetting, it's going out to the head. If we're not jetting but auto circulating, we're circulating from the tank through the manifold back to the tank. And that 3-way fitting or T-fitting just plays a part in that process. So after looking at our hydraulic area here, we're going to move up to the back of the machine and just cover the I/O, our umbilical, and power switch. So there are some differences here, as you've probably noticed as well. One, our power cable is hardwired in here, so you can't accidentally unplug it from the back of the machine. Again, this printer really needs to basically be on all the time, so that helps remove the risk of it being unplugged back here. Our umbilical on this unit has changed. So on a standard JetStream, you'll notice it comes out the side of the machine, straight out the side of the machine. On our PX, you'll see it comes out at a 90 in the back of the unit. So this actually helps decrease the footprint of the machine a little bit, which makes it a little bit cleaner too. Our power switch is now a push button instead of more of a flip style switch, so that has changed as well. And then our I/O is a little bit different layout on this machine. Now the connectors are the same for your photocell encoder and I/O functions, so there's nothing new there. Same photocells, same encoders that you'd use for a standard JetStream work on this unit too. Really the main differences are over here. We have 2 USB ports instead of 1. Again, the USB on this machine, same as regular JetStream as far as functionality is concerned, for let's say that USB text function in a message, or just message management if you want to pull messages from the machine or load messages into the printer. This does also have a USB charge port available, and then above that we've got our Ethernet connection, is again exactly the same, and the communication or protocol capabilities are the same on this unit too. Okay, on our print head, everything down here is the same: our gutter, deflection plates, phase electrode, and charge electrode. But where we do have a difference here is just the setup of the gun body itself. So on a standard JetStream, the block is a little bit different, and we have adjustment screws on this side. On a PX, the block has changed and our set and adjustment screws are on the other side. Now, the alignment and how it works is exactly the same as a standard JetStream. It's just kind of a mirror image, if you will. So you still have a vertical and horizontal adjustment. It's just changed a little bit on this plate. So if you're curious as to how alignment works in general, we do have a video already filmed for a standard JetStream. Again, this is the same exact concept, just moved to the other side. All right, that concludes our video on differences between our new JetStream PX and a standard JetStream printer. If you'd like to see more videos on this machine or any of our other products, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You could just search Squid Ink Manufacturing, for example, and you'll see a lot of great videos on our product line. Please also don't hesitate to head over to squidink.com for even more information on all of our products. Thank you.